We haven't taken a look at WTI crude oil for a few weeks, and it's quite timely to do so now because a lot's happened in the interim. We've seen gas prices surging on upwards, and if you look at this chart just here, I'm still in shock. This is UK futures gas prices up over 4,000% in just a couple of years. Same story throughout the world. And also, when I go and fill up that car, it still seems like I'm paying way over the odds. So what is happening with that crude oil price, and where is it likely to be heading in the near future? The demand is still there, it seems, but you know, economically you would think it would be on its way down. So mixed signals. What are the fundamentals, the sentiment and the technical charts telling us? Well, let's take a look. So diving straight into some technical sentiment tools. Down the bottom you see seasonality, and at this time of the year it's sort of just recovering from a small pullback during July, and as you can see on the left there, in August, September, October it grows stronger again. So there's a natural historical price rise over that period. But more importantly, I like to use the COT data above that. Red line is the large commercials, the black line is the large speculators, and above that is the price. And what you'd be expecting to see is that red line doing the inverse to the price, and the black line following, being correlated to that price. And the black line there, the large speculators, they're the traders, the ones that need to be getting the price right to keep their jobs. And as you can see, actually they are lining up very nicely and confirming to us that currently the market is weak, bearish. So like I say, a useful guide for what's going on sentimentally. Now let's just check out the rig count numbers. So the Baker Hughes rig count numbers are a great tool for getting a feel for where the energy sector is going as a whole, and I like to use the US line there, as you can see, and two particular numbers: a change from prior count +9 and a change from last year +279. So there's still bullish sentiment in those rig count numbers to take away and use. And US crude oil inventory numbers, another useful tool to watch, where they're giving us a mixed bag of signals at the moment. Last week's -1 million barrels forecast actually ended up being -4.5 billion. This week's forecast not out yet, but actual numbers produced Wednesday afternoon UK time, so definitely worth keeping an eye on those to see how balanced or imbalanced they are to the forecast and the previous few weeks. But like I say, a mixed sort of bag of data there for us. So into the charts then, and we've got our weekly line chart here. As you can see, the current sort of trend, that really nice bullish trend on upwards, as we can see. Interesting how that price has pulled back to the bottom part of that 2 standard deviation regression band. So could be an interesting price point. It is hovering under that 100 mark now, the 78.6% Fibonacci line. So the next stop down seems to this noise area here, which is the early 80s, 61.8% key Fibonacci line there. And as if we go across from that data there, we can see that we did get a bit of support resistance around that sort of zone. So could prove an interesting possible pullback, like I say, down to there. Can't see the turn yet in this longer term chart. Maybe some of those short term charts we're going to look at will give us more clues of what's going on, but again, it's got to get back up and try and break this 120, 121, 22 area before it can start on pushing up to bigger and greater things at the $150 mark. You can see here on the futures that a lot of that volume is all around this sort of $75 to sort of $40 area, and we got a little gap in there before we got this zone where we're at sort of now. So if it does break, it could break quite quickly down, like I say, into this sort of price range, which is sort of between $80 and $70. So moving on now to the line break chart. If you're interested in reversal points, you can actually see currently as I produce this video, it's actually giving us our bearish retrace signals here. It's good for calling to turn this type of chart type. 95.5 and 94 and a third dollars. That was the potential entry points. It looks like they're being broken at the moment. So, you know, if you're bearish, now is possibly the time to be getting in. Watch out to see if it does create support around this sort of zone, if it decides to bounce back up, but it's got a lot of, like I say, downward wiggle to the sort of 80 to 70 zone. So getting into the daily Heikin-Ashi chart for a bit more of a sort of medium term view. What have we got going on at the moment? Well, if we look at the bottom signals there, all let's just give that a highlighter. All bearish. What's happening to volatility? Well, actually it's, well, if you go back to March time, February time, when the Ukraine sort of Russian crisis kicked off, we're talking around, you know, 90% volatility. Now down to, you know, 30%, so it's trading under its average. Very sort of quiet. Volume also looks like it's slightly trending down. And then onto the price, we looking at our long-term probability power box tool here. Does it give us any clues to the future direction? Well, it's actually saying it's really a 50-50 bet at this price level. It's like no man's land at the moment. We can see the red shaded area, that's signifying a trend down. We've got a short-term sell signal in play at the moment, and we've got these red institutional power zones. They can provide support and resistance, and the price is hugging that at the moment. That's at the current price, and like I said, we've got the next down stops there. What is that? That's 82.5 and 75.75. so that could be the next stopping point. But if you looked at longer term, then to me it's looking quite flat really since that March peak. It's going in nice little waves, so there's some sort of trend plays to be had there. But current trend, as we can see, like I said, it's red, it's down. It's just feeling all a bit weak bearish at the moment. Now onto the Renko charts, some real short-term price action. $1 block size used, and our signals again all down the bottom, all bearish at the moment in that shorter term. Onto the price, we got a sell signal, that's the 2 pink line box breakout at the moment. Similar sort of shape to the chart. We had that sort of increase into the early part of summer, and then since then it's been heading downwards. And in terms of future price action, where could we be looking in the short term? Well, the bull side, if it can sort of use this area here as support, it could get up to this 61.8% Fibonacci line, maybe the 50% between $110 and $115. Then it's 127 to 130, and then it's up towards $150. But if it breaks further down here, then in the short term we've got 86, 81, and then like we've seen from the other charts, you know, the mid 70s. So I say that area there between 81 and 75 could be a nice, like I say, pullback correction, and then see what it does after that. Does it bounce? Does it keep on going back down? We were talking, you know, $30, $50 not too long ago in terms of a high price. Now we're, you know, in the hundreds, just below. So it's got good potential to pull back there. Again, it depends on, I think, the fundamental drivers in the market to see where it is heading next. Now I've been looking at the NYMEX futures contracts for this analysis, and you can trade crude oil around the world with various different types of instruments, whether that's CFD, spread bets, you know, ETFs, but sometimes it's really hard to get hold of the actual futures and get a futures account open. And in the last few weeks I've stumbled across a great new broker. They've been around for a while. They're called Tiger, and they're going to give you access to a huge amount of futures contracts if you have an account with them. And I just looked at the crude oil. You can see the vast array of contracts available, and that can allow you to create some really good effective strategies around crude oil. And it's also got not just the crude oil, it's all these other markets, from metals, the grains, Singapore's stock markets, Hong Kong, Japan, CBI volatility index, Eurex, all there, all futures, like you say. You see that? So just an idea for you there. Tiger Brokers, I'll put a link in the description below if you want to give them a look at. And I quite like the platform, really. I've been using it myself. Got some nice freebies and tools and incentives as well to join and sign up. Let's talk scores then, based purely off the technical analysis. And the Heikin-Ashi, to me, looking a lot more weak bearish. Volume volatility, interesting to see, they're quite neutral at the moment, so watch them closely. The probability power score also 50-50 bet really at the moment. Top right, other indicators, again a mixed bag. Commitment of trades is probably the stronger one out of that lot, giving us a bearish signal at the moment. The Renko chart also trend in the short term, weak bearish, and signals also bearish, giving an overall weak bearish score. And in terms of targets, both sides really up and down are quite good, and with the volatility, if it does pick up, both very doable in terms of possibilities. And to the upside, 3.6 and 5.6 to 1, downside 1.83 and 3 to 1. So a weak bearish score for WTI crude oil overall currently. If you're talking in terms of fundamentals, then it looks to me like crude oil, WTI, is sort of in no man's land. It can't decide at the moment which way it wants to go. It's consolidating, having a pause, having a think where it's heading next. But if you add the technicals on there, then you'd probably be favouring the downside at the moment. And $70 to $80 doesn't look outside the question, and hopefully that can be reflected back in those price at the pumps. Who knows? Let me know those thoughts and opinions that you might have about the future of crude oil, where it's heading in terms of price action. Love to hear from you in those comments. And if you like today's video, please give us the thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subs and bell buttons, and all that's left for me to say is thanks for watching, good luck with the trading, and I'll see you in the next video.